There we go.
There we go.
We're waiting for the live sign for YouTube, but we are live. Welcome everybody to the January 29th, 2021 special session of the Auburn City Council. It's an Auburn City Council workshop related to COVID-19 and our businesses and chamber. Amy, let's go right to Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd all please stand with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all. Next on the agenda is roll call. Amy, would you mind calling roll for us?
Sure, Councilmember Berlin.
I am here.
I don't see Councilmember Amara here. Councilmember Dowden Calvillo.
Present.
Bedell Harris. Here. And Mayor Spokely.
Here. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, public comment. This is the time provided so that persons may speak to the council on items not on the agenda. Do we have any public comment from folks on the Zoom call? Seeing none, Amy, do we have any public comments that were submitted?
I'm checking live. We do not have any public comment for this meeting.
Excellent. We'll go ahead and jump right in. Health and emergency response update. I'll go ahead and give a quick update. John and I did attend the call this afternoon held by the county and Dr. Oldham regarding the COVID response and primarily focused on the administration of vaccines in our community. I think the basic message from the call was that the vaccines, while they are coming in, we certainly have capacity for more vaccines to come in and administer. So that's been kind of the hold up on getting more vaccination appointments available out to the public. I've gotten quite a few calls, and I'm sure the other council members have gotten quite a few calls from folks that are frustrated with a limited number of available appointments. It's really frustrating for the county health officials and their whole team because the number of vaccines comes in only a couple of days before they roll out the appointments. And to date, they've been right around 4,300 per week. And I think at least the grounds facility down at Placer County Fairgrounds has quite a bit more capacity. If they had the vaccines, they could get them administered. And that's been the level of frustration that the county health department's experiencing. So the other thing that I found kind of interesting, if we got into a little bit of the details with respect to the tiers and who's available or eligible to get an appointment for the vaccination, the county has taken the step to move down to 65 and older for the vaccinations, but it sounds like the healthcare folks are still abiding by the original tier of 75 and older. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there. We do think, Dr. Oldham did think that there was going to be another new change to who's going to be eligible for vaccinations, which is fairly significant. They believe in the next day or two. In fact, I think he said tomorrow, they're expecting to hear from the governor's office that education and first responders will be opened up for vaccines at the county facility at the grounds. So
actually, Mr. Mayor, they have already announced that educators are eligible for the vaccine. So
Okay.
that came out yesterday. So that's happening now.
Okay. Did I hear that wrong, John? I thought Dr. Oldham said that he expected that news tomorrow.
You're on mute.
I'm on mute. I know. I heard the same thing, Mayor. heard.
That's
The
interesting
The
because,
county pushed it out on their social media yesterday.
yes, and it went out from the Placer County Department of Education. And so we actually have already notified our teachers with my
Okay.
other hat as a school board member. So, yeah.
Interesting. That's certainly not what I heard from Dr. Roland, but that's good news regardless.
Mhm.
So last little thing I wanted to touch on was related to, the news that we're hearing about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And I asked the doctor if that was going to get to us and what timing we thought it might get to us. That's the maybe slightly less effective Johnson & Johnson vaccine that just got emergency approval for release. But it's probably not going to be here for quite some time, meaning 3-4 weeks, something to that effect is what the doctor thought. But again, we're getting about 4,300 doses per week of the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccinations. It's less than the available capacity to administer the vaccinations that we have right now between the county and the county's healthcare partners that are helping with the vaccinations. Right now, the county is working with the grounds and the Safeway pharmacies for those vaccinations. The healthcare folks are doing their own thing, and we still have no real solid idea of exactly how many vaccines are making it into the county between Kaiser and Sutter and the county. Apparently the county doesn't have access to how many doses that Sutter and Kaiser are getting from a week-to-week basis. So it's a little bit of a challenge. They're doing the best they can. Obviously, they're getting out the vaccines that come in as quickly as they can. So that is my update there. John, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, not really. I think you kind of hit on it. It looks like, if you were to dial it all the way down, it's just an overall frustration with the amount of vaccine. They sure seem to be ramped up and ready to go, but it's just a supply and demand thing right now. Obviously, the fact that they've instituted easier ways for people to get notified of for appointments, those types of things. I would imagine that you're going to see a lot of bottlenecking as people say, hey, I think I want to go and get a vaccine, and they just aren't going to have it because they certainly aren't getting the supply. So the good news is they can probably get it out. The bad news is they just don't have any of the vaccine.
One other thing that I'll just mention to the group that did come up during the call that I took note of, I found it kind of interesting that apparently there are some folks who are in the bracket of 65 and older who are coming into the county and trying to get an appointment for the vaccinations. And the county is doing the best they can to screen those. There are some that are coming through and getting through. So I think we're going to see more and more of this as the limited supplies are making it down to the counties, folks in other counties coming to maybe our county, maybe folks in our county going to other counties, but trying to kind of circumvent the whole county by county basis for the vaccinations. So the county staff that was on the call did mention that they are sending out cancellations, but they have some folks that are registered, living in other counties that are here staying with their family members, and those become somewhat problematic and troublesome to try to sort out, but they're doing the best they can. So with that, do you guys have any other questions or anybody have anything they want to add? Alice, go ahead.
Yeah, so just, I signed up for the text alert. Hopefully everyone else has as well, although I'm way down on the waiting list. But at 2:00, they released that more appointments are available and that it is open to educators, which we already talked about, childcare and emergency services, in addition to those residents that are 65 and over. So that was my first text since I signed up. So it seems to be working pretty well.
Good. Rob?
Yeah, Matt and Alice, quick question on the educator piece. Once you're in the eligibility category, does that mean that is there tiering within that, or are you just eligible and all you have to do is get your slot and go?
You're
just have-
eligible.
You just have to get your appointment.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
Yeah,
is
there's
kind
no
of a,
tier. There's no tier. It's just, I think you need to show your badge. I mean, they have specific identification requirements for the teachers. And for those that are, associated with teaching, the various staff that work with the kids are eligible as well. They just have to show their ID, but there hasn't been any tiering.
so that should actually have potentially positive impact on youth sports and high school sports having a chance to reopen, I would think. I'm guessing that was a big part of that hang up there, most likely.
I don't know if it's statewide with educators or if it's just Placer County. So,
Is that
you
decision
know.
then on the county by county level then?
I think
It
it
is.
depends on I'm speaking for the mayor. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, if you wish to, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's my understanding it's based on what's available, the amount of vaccine that's available. I get Sacramento County alerts as well, and I haven't received anything about their moving into the education side yet.
My understanding is that it is a county by county decision. And it kind of got away from, I'll say, the state when there was vaccines that were coming and appointments weren't being filled, and some of the vaccines we heard, reported up and down the state, some of the vaccines were getting administered to whoever they could find because they were going to expire. So we definitely are moving a little more aggressively based on my understanding than what I'm seeing other counties up and down the state doing. So I do think that that's a county by county decision. There was one other point that I wanted to mention. I apologize, but I'm just going through my notes here. One of the things that Dr. Oldham mentioned was that there might be a change in direction from the CDC and from the state health department regarding switching from the tiered employment-based vaccination schedule to a purely age-based schedule. That certainly would simplify things for the county and for all of us who are trying to get on those waiting lists or get appointments. But that is something that they're talking about. It's not been official. It's not been, announced by the state. But we did talk a little bit about that conversation is going on. And Dr. Oldham was on a call earlier in the week where that was discussed quite a bit. So we might see in the near future some sort of a pivot to a age-based system versus the employment-based system. So that's that. Any other questions on that? Daniel, go ahead.
I'll just make a quick comment. As most of you know, I work in a different county, and that county already began providing vaccination to many of the first responder agencies. So I have actually already received my first dose and am scheduled to go in for a second one. And I just give you my experience that besides a little tenderness in my arm for several days, it's a very relatively painless process, especially compared to, at least for me, the flu shot this year that kind of kicked me down. However, everything I'm hearing from people that I work with who have already gotten their second shot is that second shot is much harder. So I would just caution everybody of all the reports that have been out there, especially even in our county, about the dangers of the vaccine and an individual that was reported to have died just after taking the vaccine. That just speaking from experience, having now gone through it almost a month ago, that it's a pretty well organized process, and at least in the county that I work in, and that I'm still here to talk about it. And so I would just encourage everyone not to buy into some of the fear that's out there. So stay tuned to when I get my second dosage. I'll let you know, because like I said, that one, apparently your body starts to react in a positive way, but for you negatively, just since it kicks you down a couple notches. So just wanted to share that experience with everybody.
Great. Thank you for that. congratulations on actually being, I think, the only one on this call to have gotten a shot. So I saw Rachel's hand up first, and then I'll come to you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I'm excited that the teachers are on the list, mainly because as a parent of Auburn Union School District children, I know that we've been going back and forth and home and then back 2 days a week and a hybrid. And so we're supposed to go back 5 days a week starting on February 22nd. And if the teachers can get vaccinated, I think that'll really help us to stay and give the kids some consistency. So I'm really excited that that's a possibility, because I think that'll really help our children to be able to move forward and start to really have a consistent learning environment. And that's been really challenging for most of us parents.
Yeah, I can only
Totally
imagine.
agree.
Yeah, totally agree. Sandy, you had a question? comment?
Thank you. Yes. I don't want to talk about negative things, but I had just heard, and I'm probably this question came up or will come up, about the new strain from South Africa that's supposed to be a little more resistant to this vaccine. Do you have any updates on that? I had heard maybe there'll be a booster in the future. Is that something that how do we answer that question if that comes up? Because it's all over the news right now. Has anybody heard?
I saw a report this morning that said that though they may not be just as effective, they're almost just as effective. So there's a little bit of a window, but it also makes it so if you do get it with the vaccine, the impacts are far less. So you're not going to get as sick if you have the vaccine as you would if you didn't have the vaccine. So it goes from like 95 to 90 or 85. It's still pretty good, but it makes it so if you have the vaccine and you get it, that you're far less likely to have serious health impacts from getting the virus. That's what I heard this morning.
Yeah, I heard it was an 85% rate.
Okay, good. Yeah, I had seen 85. So, okay, thank you. That's all I have.
And Matt, just to follow on that, you had mentioned the Johnson & Johnson was slightly less effective. Do you have a percentage on that? I was curious about that.
65.
Yeah, 62 is what I thought I heard, but 65, which, what is the FDA cutoff? It's like 50% for vaccination. So it's still pretty good. And as Rachel just mentioned, the benefits of a single dose Johnson & Johnson vaccination is primarily in that it can keep you from getting the virus, but if you get it with, after getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccination, the impacts of the virus are much, much reduced. So that's the big benefit with that one.
I did hear also that Moderna and Pfizer are working on that booster for the South African mutation of the virus. And then I also heard this morning that if you previously had the other COVID strain, and then it doesn't help you to have immunity to this new strain, you could still get the South African virus. So even if you have had COVID and you're kind of depending on that immunity, you wouldn't necessarily be immune to the new strains that are coming up. So there would still be some value in getting that back.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next item, which is city actions and services. John, do you have a brief little update for us on what's going on at the city?
A couple of things. Number one, I think the city staff is on the same page as we start working with the business associations to try and help them. Obviously, I think Jackie will give an update on the Plaster Threes grant, but I think we have the procedures in place. Really, there are two aspects to it. First, if the associations are going to do something, we'll just work straight with them. The idea of outdoor dining and some kind of communal areas and procedures for doing that. We'll work straight with the business associations on that. Alternatively, if somebody wants to do something a little bit more permanent with structures and everything, we have all the forms if somebody needs to come and pull a building permit to do something at their own place. So right now I'm pretty confident that if somebody wants to do that, we can do it. But generally just kind of working with the associations. As far as stay at home, and that's basically done. as far as working with some of the restaurants, we're always kind of pushing information out about outdoor dining versus indoor dining. So it's always an adventure trying to kind of herd kind of a group of cats on some of these things, but we're doing our best.
Great, thank you, John. Any questions for John on city actions and services? All right, we'll move on to Placer Shares program. I will turn this over to Jackie to give us an update. I will say on the call at noon today or 12:30 today, Jackie, we had Sherry on the line. She sent me an email because they talked about the phase 3 of the CARES program and how quickly the money's going to get out to the participants, to the regions. She did mention to me that one of the things that all folks need to get back to the county before any wiring of funds will happen is W-2s. I said W-2s, I think W-9s is what I meant to say. So if you could get that over to her, I think she mentioned that she still needs one from the chamber. But other than that, as soon as she gets that, she mentioned that funds would be wired for the first draw request, which sounds like you already have in early next week. I don't know if that's Monday, but early next week, Monday, Tuesday of next week. Do you want to give us any further updates, Jackie?
Actually, I thought the email that they sent was the W-9s that we needed from the businesses. I didn't realize they needed one from us. So there was some miscommunication. I'm glad that she told you that and not me. So I will get that in today. I did submit a draw request yesterday. I don't know if we announced the final number, but it was 194,936 from the county. And then I got an email today from the Placer Community Foundation for the other grant that we had talked about previously. And it's from the, I'm gonna mess it up. It was for $20,000 from the Placer Community Foundation. It was from the Locke Family Fund that wants to support local restaurants, not chains, but anyone locally. So we will be using that money they had 2 restaurants in particular they wanted to make sure that we helped. And then the rest will be going to help the other restaurants, just like we're doing with the county grant funds as well. So we'll be offering a payback, which we've already started on Food Jet's reimbursement for restaurants, and get structures and heaters and seating for restaurants. I believe this money will help a lot with the restaurants that are out of the 2 districts in Old Town and downtown, because there wasn't as much funding for those restaurants within the county grant that we had requested. So I'm really excited to be able to help more of the smaller restaurants that are outside the centrally located restaurants, which is good. We have gotten a fair share of requests for the Food Jets reimbursement. So I'm really excited that people are requesting that because we have money to spend on that, quite a bit of money to spend on that. So if you know of a restaurant, please let them know. They can email me and I emailed and mailed information to each of the restaurants on the county list. But if for some reason they didn't see it, if they want to email me, I can send out that information to them, and all they have to do is submit a W-9 and their Food Jets invoices, and we just cut a check. Other than that, we're moving on the structures. I think that downtown will have a plan for how many structures they need by Monday, and Old Town's working on what exactly they need, because structures might not be in their realm of possibilities, but there is some other ways that we can help the businesses in Old Town. I just received another shipment of heaters, so I'm eager to get some of those out, hoping that maybe I can get a few out for this weekend, because it's going to be chilly, but it's not going to be raining, so people can eat outdoors. finding propane tanks is a whole nother story. We are working with Harris Industrial. Thank you, Alice. It sounds like they might have some down at their Citrus Heights location. So I'm waiting for a call back from them today because they seem like the only ones that possibly have that amount of tanks available. Other than that, we're just moving along with the grant money, or the grant as far as the technology and the marketing is concerned, kind of behind the scenes, and I'm waiting for some information to share with you, but I don't have it just yet. So I think that's it.
That's great, Jackie. Hey, a question on the propane tanks you mentioned, but from what I understand in talking with a few business owners, the big cost is obviously refilling those things. Are we helping them with those costs if the program funding is available?
If we have leftover funds, I think that that's definitely a cost. We also are working with Echo Valley, and they are going to be filling tanks for $12, which is far less than you can trade them in for.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is take them over to Echo Valley and get them filled. I'm also trying to get with the fairgrounds because they have a large propane tank to do the same kind of thing. I have a meeting with him tomorrow about that. To just give 2 different locations for them to be able to fill up propane. But yeah, I think once we get everything, figure out where all the money is going to be dispersed and see what's left over, that we'll be able to help, maybe with some of the filling of the propane tanks for the businesses. I just don't know. I'm not ordering any more heaters because I feel like a lot of people already have heaters. So maybe I'm under budget on the heaters, so maybe we'll be able to use some of that for propane.
That'd be great. And then also, thank you for looking into the fairgrounds and utilizing that facility. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for downtown members. I mean, it's kind of right in the middle between downtown and Old Town. So it just gives another location for people to be able to go.
That's great. Alice, I saw you had your hand up.
Yes, I was just going to say, Jackie, how about that restaurant in South Auburn we all talk about all the time? I'm hoping they're going to get a heater or 2 since they're not in, the district, but we didn't want to forget those that were in that South Auburn area.
No,
Sandy knows who I'm talking about.
I haven't forgotten about them. There's only, unfortunately, so many hours in the day, and they are pretty capped at more than I think there are. But I was going to go talk to them because I love their fish tacos. So I go there often. And then the business is out on 49 as well. And then I have one to talk to over in the airport that Marjorie sent me. So I will be working on that next week to figure out their needs because they are outside the districts.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jackie. I really appreciate it. I know you've got your plate full and you're just, you're going above and beyond. So thank you so very much.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever I can to help these businesses because they're really what keeps our town afloat. So They're important to all of us.
What about the Wings restaurant? Do they need heaters? Do they know about the heater program and also the Food Jets program?
They were on the email and mailing list. I can't tell you. I haven't heard from them, so I don't know.
Okay.
John, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, no, I want to kind of echo something on Jackie as far as Echo Valley Ranch. They came in very generous. These heaters, they might as well give them away for free because it really comes down to the operation. The rule of thumb per heater and the experience of the businesses that have them, the typical heater is going to go through 5 propane bottles a week. So it's very pricey. So for each one of the ones that get up, you're looking at least $60, not including whoever has to go over and get those things filled. So just a shout out to Greg and Connie. They were, I went over and was chatting with them about a couple of things, and they certainly came through with it. But as we've talked with the people that have been burning those heaters, propane, very expensive. And Echo Valley very generous. The perspective is Echo Valley is going to charge somewhere 10 to 12 bucks a tank, but for us common folk, it's more like 17 bucks. So deeply discounted, very generous.
Yes, thank you, Echo Valley, and thank you, John, for that. We'll go ahead and move on to our PPE program, and we talked a little bit about that last time. I guess just reminding everybody that the city does have PPE, and Amy, I don't have an inventory of what we have, but I know based on our last call that we had some new stuff, another pallet or half pallet or something delivered. Do you have a quick update of what we have available for folks at the city?
Yeah, we did. I believe it was last week. Public Works went down to Roseville and got another pallet of hand sanitizer and as many masks as we could get, which 2 pallets of hand sanitizer. So Jackie and I will work together to do an open house again, because that seems to be the best format to hand it out. Not having a business reserve the hand sanitizer and masks ahead of time, that was sort of complicating the issue. So now that it's all been streamlined, we just do a 4-hour block on a weekday and stay very busy handing it out. So we'll work on another one of those soon.
That's great. And the notice for those goes out through the chamber's email blast? Or?
Yeah, through the chamber. And then we also send it to every business license in the city.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on PPE? All right, we'll move on back to Jackie for the Chamber of Commerce report. Anything else you want to add, Jackie?
We are just drowning in the grant, but we actually are really excited to have our planning conference tomorrow. So I will be planning for the next year along with our manager, Mr. Dunleavy, our wonderful clerk, and my board member, Amy, and Mr. Berlant said he'd sneak in as long as he felt okay. So I'm pretty excited. Oh, and Christine, of course, is coming in April. But we're really excited to start planning for the next year and figure out what we can do to support our local businesses and how we can be the most effective towards our businesses that we can. So I'm excited for it. It's my first one, not only as the ED, but also in general. I surprisingly have never been to one. So I'm excited to get with these wonderful community members and our board to figure out the plan for the next year.
Jackie, what's the, is that something you'll be doing virtually, right?
We are not doing it virtually. We felt like it was not in the best interest of planning for a year to do virtual. It's really hard to talk in a group. So we will be social distancing ourselves in a large facility.
Okay. All right. I was just going to see if I could maybe sneak away to stop by. Will you text me the information?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Jackie, you had last Saturday a little event?
What did I have? I can't remember.
Maybe I'm off a week. Didn't we swear in the new board of directors for the chamber?
Oh, that was Wednesday. Was that last week? I don't even remember what we did. I really want to thank Matt for swearing in our board, and I guess that should be part of our update, huh? I think is Grant. I'm just thinking grants these days. It's really I live, breathe, and lack of sleep grant information. But Matt, thank you for swearing in our board, and thank you to John for being our keynote speaker. It was really nice to be able to include the city so much in our installation and kind of do it socially distant, but a little bit together. So we were really excited about that.
Well, I certainly wasn't looking for a thank you. I was more wanting to welcome the new board members to the chamber. And as we all thanked the outgoing board, they had a heck of a year, right? I mean, we all lived it, but they were in the thick of it with the chamber.
We
So it
did,
was-
and our outgoing president, Allison Harvey, I truly believe the chamber wouldn't be where it's at today without her. We lost, Keith stepped out at the very beginning of the year with some health issues. And then we had COVID. So Allison really ran the chamber for a good chunk of the year before I was able to come in. So I'm very thankful for her. I'm thankful for the outgoing board members, Wayne and Katie. And I'm really looking forward to the 2 new board members, Gary Gilligan from Mountain Mandarin Festival, as well as the most amazing Bernie Schroeder, retired city. I really feel like she's going to be a great asset to the chamber with all her knowledge and history of the community. So I'm excited to see what the next year brings.
That's great. Any questions for Jackie? All right, we'll move on to our next item, which is our Business Association reports. And I'll start as I see folks on my screen. I'll start with Marjorie for the airport. Lucky.
No update. No, there's not much going on. I mean, everybody's busy up here. We still have a lot of businesses with, not working at their buildings. Our parking lot is empty. Some others, and then others are going gangbusters. Across the street is that Air International, and they're going crazy.
That's great. That's good. Any special needs that we should be aware of out there, Jackie, related to COVID issues? I said Jackie, I meant Marjorie, sorry.
Jackie and I talked about it yesterday at the meeting she held.
Okay.
She knows some businesses that could use a little help, and maybe with the Plaster Shares items, and she take care of reaching out to them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Marjorie. Appreciate that. Going around the screen here, I think I see Christine. Do you have?
I don't think there's a ton to update. Again, I think we're all in the thick of it with the getting a plan together for the grant money and working out a few things for us with budget. But other than that, I think status quo. Everybody's doing the best they can.
Okay. And I don't see anybody from, well, Rob, how about you? You got any updates for us?
Just a couple things. One, last week, our board passed a resolution to support the endurance races being the official races for California. So I saw Mike Holmes today. I guess ARD did as well, and as did City of Colfax. And you saw the Board of Supervisors pass that on consent. So I actually think there's decent chance to get that, get some traction down there with that. I mean, it's a pretty easy thing to support, I would think. Alice, you work down there. Hopefully Senator Dawley and, Assemblyman Bigelow be willing to take it up, because I do think with our history and with its history, and that was kind of the position that we took, that it really does honor a lot of what I think that we perceive about what California is. And so, and I think it would be good for the area if it went forward. So do you think, Alice, what's your thought on it? These don't seem controversial to me. That they probably are, though, down there.
It's hard to say, really, it's just trying to get the legislators' attention. Right now, it's just, so focused on COVID and, there's just so much and the new change in the federal administration and so forth. So it's just a matter of trying to get them focused. And then, I don't know how well, actually, unfortunately, how well both, our senator and our assemblyman work across the aisle, because clearly they need to have support, so hopefully, the issues themselves are not controversial. It just is a matter of politics, I guess, and just trying to get the attention. That's
Right.
really what it's going to be. I don't know if Mike has already approached the assemblyman about it, or the senator, I don't know. So.
Yeah, I think he's done some initial outreach, but I think he did it prior to. And again, I know it's not a huge issue. It's just one of those things that I do think it's worth making the effort for, especially with Tevis's history going back into the 50s. And, so anyway, I just wanted to, we threw that. I actually am fairly friendly with one of the field directors for the senator. So I may just kind of, get his advice on what we could do. But, and again, like you said, timing's everything, and now it's not.
It's just getting their focus, and then, I don't know what other, legislative agenda they may have. And, things just sometimes get caught up in politics, even though it's not a controversial item. I don't know, sometimes these things get kind of like, okay, well, if I support this, then I need your vote on that, or, so.
The sausage making down there, right? It's the worst.
Yes, yeah.
If we had Assembly Member Haswell, then this would be a slam dunk.
Or we could have had Assembly and Senate Member Ernie Birdsall from about 100 years ago. We'd have been in business. Oh my gosh, funny. The other thing I did want to tell the membership, obviously, with the stay-at-home lifted, we're starting to do some Q1 planning, and want to share that I do think travel sentiment is starting to get better. I think there's a fair amount of interest looking at the summer, starting with those drive markets. It's kind of like John and I had a meeting a few days ago, and one of the things he likes to say that I agree with is I think at some point in the somewhat near future, there's going to be a Mardi Gras out here, and people are going to be ready to kind of really let it down. And but the good news is for travel is a lot of people obviously didn't, and they have a little more. Those that travel have a little more dispensable income for that kind of stuff, and there is a huge interest. So again, I think the timing is when that happens. We're going to be in good position, particularly Auburn and Placer at large to be able to welcome those visitors. And that'll really have I think a good positive impact on the recovery of our business communities. So that's encouraging. I always do try to see the positive. As long as this vaccine rollout can get better and better and better, I think good things are ahead for us. So.
Great, Rob. Thank you very much for that. The eternal optimist, but
yeah, no doubt.
Gotta love it. Love
it. To a fault, trust me.
Any questions? Any questions for Rob? All right, seeing none. Next on our agenda is the next meeting, and I think we'll stick to the every 2 week schedule unless anybody has concerns about that. Jackie, any assistance you need from the city on the CARES dollars and that rollout, just let any of us know. I know you're in pretty close communication with John and probably Daniel as well, but let us know if there's anything else that we can do to help you out. Same goes for the business districts.
I think Daniel would say that I am in too close communication with him, but I'm very thankful for everyone in the city for all the support and help as well as the business districts.
I would say my guess is, in April's not here, once the shelters are purchased, there will likely need to be some work days to help them set it up and make them decorative and whatnot. So I think that's probably where we as a group will probably be the most relevant, is to help them once they get here. So probably more to come as they get closer. But since April's not here today, I know that's one thing she has flagged, that she may need some help there.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel. Amy, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, 2 weeks from today is a city holiday. Just FYI. We can still hold one that day. It's a holiday.
What's what's the thoughts from the council? Do we push it to an odd day, like a day earlier or the following Monday? What are we thinking?
The 12th is a holiday?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the 14th was a holiday. Is the 14th a holiday?
12th and the 15th are both holidays for the city this year.
Oh, I see.
One is Lincoln's birthday, one is President's Day.
Got it.
Why don't we push it to the following Friday?
Okay.
I won't be available, just to let you know that
Okay.
February. I mean, you can do it without me, but I have if you're talking about the 19th, I have a work commitment, a standing public meeting for my 9 to 5.
I support the 19th. It gives me another week with a newborn to try to get some sleep. So 19th sounds great.
Let's do the 19th. Obviously, if the need arises, we can adjust that, but we'll shoot for now, Amy, for the 19th.
Perfect.
Jackie?
Can I vote for the newborn to make a debut on the 19th?
That's assuming that his infection on his arm is cleared up by then.
Exactly. We
There's
don't
a,
need
there's
any
a lot of
fuss
other
around
factors here, but Baby Berlant will make an appearance one way or another at one of these meetings. So if Amy's cat and Alice's cats can have their debuts, I think a new born baby could at least come say hello.
Yay.
We would love that.
No one has commented on my promotion of Auburn Umbrella Park.
I saw
I
it
noticed
back
it though,
there.
Sandy. I noticed it.
Oh, thank you.
And I was wondering when they're going to be out there next to our building. Jackie can't wait.
May, I heard.
Yeah, that's what I
That's going
heard
to be
too.
cool.
Anyway,
So,
but
I like it.
the 19th works for me as well.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
so Mr. Mayor, I would just ask that when you have that meeting and then because I have conflicts on those alternating Fridays. So I mean that I'll miss the 19th, but if you do that, every going forward, you're going to miss me every other meeting. I'll have to miss. So,
Yeah, let's stick to the 19th and then we can make adjustments moving forward.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. All right, everybody, thank you all for taking the time to join us today. Have a great weekend. It's going to be nice, so get out and shop in our town and
Eat
enjoy the
outside.
outdoors.
Yep.
Yep.
Have a good weekend all.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.